pain burns hot, love burns longer. If you're someone out there who is doing something and it's something maybe you really desire and pain has been the driving force through what you do, or maybe the avoidance of pain. If you're someone like that, or there's this kind of chip that's always on your shoulder and it's kind of making you go forward, and you kind of enjoy a little bit proving other people wrong, and you kind of enjoy saying like, I did it, look at that, throughout everything, I put up with it and I did it. Then no, I was in the same position, and it's something that is great and in the moment, but I've realized that when you can use love as the fuel, it changes everything. If you don't know me, I'm Luke Life Charms. I've been traveling. I've been living overseas for about 20 years, pro athlete for 12 years, and now currently in Mexico for the last few years. And, you know, throughout everything that I've run, through my businesses and through, you know, failed businesses, through ideas that I've had, through things that I've wanted to do that's different, one of the things that have always fueled me has been pain. Even being a pro athlete, the whole 13 seasons as a pro athlete, the one thing that fueled me was like this pain of just like, you know, just I gotta use this pain as fire. Like the people who said I couldn't do it, all the people hating on me, like I used that as the main fuel. Like that was the main fuel to do everything, to travel the world. People said you couldn't travel the world, you need this amount of money to travel, you need this much income coming in. And I was just like, no, I'm gonna do it without it. I'm gonna do it without the income. I'm like crazy, like big thinking. But it was that desire to prove people wrong. And at one point in time that really shifted for me through a conversation I had with somebody, and it was a coach, and she said something along the lines of, you've been doing it all out of pain, but she's like, you probably realize that pain has gone down, so you've had to dig deeper, you've had to reopen wounds to allow that fuel to keep burning. She's like, you can do it through the love of what you do, through the love of who you are, through the love of helping people, through the love of experiencing new things, of seeing new cultures. You can do it through love. And as I shifted, I realized when I started to view things through the lens of love, it changed a lot. You know, it was kind of a seed that was put in my mind through a book that was recommended to me 5 years prior to me reading it, which I wish I would have taken people's advice. It was Conversations with God. I believe it was the second one. But it said something along the lines of everything that happens in the world is based on love. You know, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. And as you start to think about it, I'm like, the person who robs the store, is doing it because they love their family and they want to support them. You know, the person who is greedy and rips people off and takes money from people's businesses, they are doing it for love. It's their love of money. You know, the person who, like, when you run it through every scenario, there's love. And if you're focused on loving kind of the wrong thing, which for me so long was just focused on loving pleasure, literally. Like loving pleasure, loving all this, it was different. So I used the pain of not wanting to go back to where I was, and that really became like a driving force for me. And like I say, over time, I just started to realize that, you know, it always left me feeling like, okay, I proved them wrong. And in the quiet moments, it was like, now I'm sitting there like, okay, now what? I got to prove someone else wrong. I need someone else to say something bad about me. I got to the point I've told you, I used to just make up things. You know, as a pro athlete, I would make up a story about what the other team said about me to make me go hard, to do the best I can, to play as hard as I could, to score as many points as I can, like to not care. I would make up stories. And I did that because I needed the pain. And now as I look back on it, which probably was early in my career and then in spurts throughout it, I could have just done it for the love of doing it. You know, and sometimes the love of doing something gets kind of like washed away a little bit, especially if you start making it something that you do for money. If you start making it something you do for money, sometimes the love can go away and you're like, well, I burn hotter when I use the pain if I'm not making any money doing this, or it's not reaching any people. And I realize it just burns hot, but it doesn't burn as long. And it's something that I realize that people can sense, people can feel, and more importantly, it just doesn't feel so great having to search for the pain to get it done every morning. You know, I realize the reason I can show up and make these YouTube videos is because of the love that I have for just leaving behind a legacy, for leaving behind something that someone can look at. Maybe I'm lost in the woods, but I've left breadcrumbs and left the note of what is here, what I'm finding, what I found, which is what the original explorers did. And now I've learned more to take the path that some people have taken and take their advice, and then start to make your own path once you've got the hang of it, you know. And I say this because there's someone out there that's just looking for pain through everything, and you've become great at finding the pain. You've become great at spotting the pain, spotting the person who says the wrong thing, because you've always used that for fuel. And I just want to encourage you just to maybe look at something that maybe you're doing that you're using pain for, and find a way that there's something about it that you can love, even if it's loving the end result. You know, everyone says fall in love with the process, but honestly, the process was kind of hard to fall in love with for so many things for me, and now I still don't love the process of some things. I do not love the process, but I love the result. I love helping people along the way. I love what I discover about myself. So therefore, I don't need to have the pain of like, this is tough, let's just do it. Like, I don't need that so much anymore. It burns hot, but it doesn't burn as long. And I think when you become great at spotting pain, become your fueling source, I think you also become a master of finding out what's wrong. Yeah, so for me, I was always able, it's not even so easy anymore, but I used to be able to always find what was wrong with people. Like, I could always find, like, if I was with a woman, I could always find what was wrong with her to make me go. If I was in a city, I could always find what's wrong with the city to make me leave. If I was in doing something, I could always find a reason that's bad and let's go. And I failed to realize that was just from the lens of viewing pain. If pain is my fuel source, of course. Like, if I want to go to another city, I need to find a pain point in this city, so that, I never even thought about that until this moment right now, is if I'm in pain in this place that I am and I want to travel to a new place, if I want to travel to a new place, I need to find the pain from here to burn hot to make me go to another place. And I've realized I don't need that. I can let my love for exploring, for meeting people, for going out and seeing new places and new things and having new experiences, that can fuel me, and that goes so far. It doesn't take a keep on refueling. You know, as many of you guys know, I live here in Mexico, and as I live here in Mexico, I have places in the big city, but I also have like a little ranch. And when I go to the ranch, as some of you guys know who follow me, I think in the podcast and on TikTok, I've shown a lot there. But most of the time, this past few times I haven't, but before I make a little fire every single night, and we sit by the fire. And as I've sat by the fire so many nights, probably close to maybe hundreds of nights, maybe. I don't know if it's in the hundreds yet, but it's up there in nights, that there are certain things that burn hot. Like, there are certain things that really, like, in the fire, they burn hot. Like certain like wooden planks, like 2x4s, they burn hot. They burn super hot. If you throw it in there, everyone's gonna take a step back away from the fire because it burns hot. But they don't burn long. It gets really hot, everyone gets by it, and then everyone kind of gets closer to it after a few minutes because it's starting to burn away. It burns away too fast. Whereas when you get a big log, a big chunk of wood, and you put it in there, you get two of those things, they'll burn for hours. They'll burn for hours. And when we're doing things that require a lot of heat, we make barbecue there. And the way that we make barbecue in my tradition and culture here is we don't make it on the grill like a lot of people. We make the barbecue, we make it on the bottom, we make it in the ground. Meaning we dig a hole, we have rocks and all this stuff at the bottom, and we heat that hole up, cover it up, heat it up, and then we put the meat in there, or whatever it is we're making, sheep or goat, and we put it in there for about 7 hours. And when we do that, that's what creates the barbecue. Now, I say that because we don't burn like sticks and things like that. It's all big chunks of wood because they burn hot and they burn long. And not only do they burn hot and long, but they also make anything that's on it burn as well. So it's not a fire burning the whole time. What it is there's rocks in there, and we cover all this burning lumber with rocks. So once the wood is all burned out, now these rocks, the wood has heated up the rocks so hot that it's able to cook a barbecue for 6.5 hours covered under the ground. So that when you take it off, the meat literally falls off the bone. Like it's seriously a big deal. And it's a really coming together process as well, because of the men. We have to stay up all night to watch the fire, and we have to do everything you have to do to get an animal ready to eat it, which is not like go to the grocery store and buy it. So it's just been something for me that has been just almost like a revelation, so to speak, of I don't have to use, and you don't have to use, we don't have to use pain as the only fueling source. Yes, it burns hot. In the heat of the moment, yes, it can be extremely motivating. But at the end of the day, love can be a driving force that can take you far, and it can take you longer. One thing I've realized, and I never saw myself as being someone who was going to be in a relationship ever, not long term, but I've realized that in my mind, I'm always like, well, single, there's always this fire that's burning, and because I can do so many things, I have nothing that stops me. So it's like I do burn hotter, but I can't go as far as I can now that I'm with somebody. Now that I'm with someone, it changes the game when you're in it for the long term. My fiance, I've realized so many things, and maybe I have a talk on it soon or something, but it's just been I never thought I'd experience something like this, where you actually can. It's long term. Everything can be done long term. You have two minds. You have two extra hands. You have two. It's just like a powerful force. You can, and I believe now, when you are going with someone, you can go further. Going alone, you can go faster. If I'm by myself, I can go really fast. When I'm with someone, I don't usually go as fast, but I definitely by far can go a lot further. And more importantly, I realize that I can enjoy the journey more when I'm with someone. And it's just it's little shifts just in thinking and how you see something. It's the glasses that you wear that changes what you see. And sometimes we wait to see it before we see it. And sometimes we need to see it first before it will reveal itself to us, And this is just a realization that I've had in the last few weeks, really, that has just been probably the last year and a half when I had this conversation, probably 2 years ago, I think, to this date, when I first came to Mexico. By the way, this is like the exact 2-year anniversary of me coming into Mexico. Big decision that changed my life. But I made that decision, I realized, that decision I made to do it was based on, not on pain of trying to run away from something, but it was based on the fact of me loving myself. And even the decisions that I look at that have been best for me in the long term were all made based on, out of some kind of love, the love that I have for myself, the love that I have for something in the long term. It's always been something around the lines of that. Decisions that I've made to avoid pain, or decisions that I've made based on pain, have always been temporary decisions that have got me out of that situation. But those decisions usually needed to be course corrected heavily once I was in a better headspace, so to speak. So with that being said, pain burns hot. Love burns longer. Hope this message was a blessing to you. I'll speak to you guys later. Anyone who's here, if you guys don't know, I run master classes free. Join our party every Friday at 7 p.m. I'm not sure what time it is for you all, but when you sign up below there, you just sign up and tells you what time it is. You're a part of it, and we'd love to have you there. We've been having some great times. We didn't have it the last 2 Fridays because of let's just say a lot of things were coming up unexpected, but we're gonna have it this Friday. So I look forward to speaking to you all there, and be blessed. Beautiful day. It's a beautiful day here. See you later.